Hey, it's Zach, and I'm back with another episode of Elevate and Accelerate. And today I want to talk to you a little bit more about what is personal branding and how it works for your business and why it works for your business. And so I get this question a lot. And when I'm talking with clients and having conversations with different people along the way, there's a lot of connotations that go into what branding is, from graphic design to color schemes to logos and all these different things. And all of those are a part of branding. But when we talk about personal branding, we're talking about something a little bit different, really branding around a person, which would be you as the entrepreneur and founder and runner of your business. So I want to talk a little bit more about how that works and why it works for your business. So without further ado, let's get started. Now, the things I want to share with you today are really talking more and more about this conversation that we have a lot here at the agency. And that is around this idea of, what does it mean to be an authority in your business? What does it mean to build your brand and communicate with your audience in a way that positions you as an authority, and why all of that plays together as a really important and integral part of you taking your business to that next level. And as I've mentioned in previous episodes and along the way here all the time, is that entrepreneurs have done a really good job at bringing their business to what it is today. And they do that through this idea of, I need to get more leads in order to get more sales. And that was the case, especially when you started your business. I need to figure out where those leads are, and then I need to sell them. And then I need to do that again and again and again and again. And at some point in your business, you get to a point where that math doesn't really math anymore. And what you can be doing is focusing on how you convert better on the leads that you're already getting through your marketing efforts, which will then increase your bottom line exponentially, and then turn the faucet on again in going into other verticals or attaching different demographics or whatever it might be to expand your reach and to grow your business in that way as well. But most of the time, the math is if I've got 1,000 leads and that equals one sale, then I need 2,000 leads to equal 2 sales. And while that's really true and has been true, that's the grind mindset that we're trying to get away from here. And the best way to be able to do that is by positioning yourself as an expert in your business. There's so many things that go along with that. And so I'm going to give you a couple of visuals along the way to help explain really what this is. And that starts with the revelation. Now, when most people come to us, they have this idea in their head of what it means to do personal branding. And so in their minds, they're like, hey, listen, I really want you to help me build my brand. I want you to help me build my authority and really make me a thought leader in the space. Can you do that? And the answer was yes. And we've been doing that for well over 15 years now. But we realized over the years that this is really just 10% of the conversation. And those of you who are familiar with this iceberg model, I mean, really what we're talking about is that it's just scratching the surface. And while everybody is trying to climb this mountain, so to speak, really what's underneath is what drives the success of building your brand and creating that authority and everything else. And so what we've seen right underneath the surface is what we call these 3 outcomes. And that's your brand story, your digital DNA, how you show up when people are looking for you through content, connection, and using your story and all of those different things that I've talked about before. And really having that inspired audience, a group of people who are not just your followers, but they're your ambassadors as well. And really at the core of all of this is the idea that we believe that every mission-driven celebrity expert, in other words, somebody who is out there and wanting to grow their business and take it to the next level by helping other people in their lives as well, really does deserve to live a life of joyful impact. And so, when we talk about living a life of joyful impact, what we're talking about is that intersection where you've accomplished and reached a level of your business and enjoying what you are doing because you're focusing on doing what you do best, while also helping other people be successful in their lives as well. And so that's the impact part of all of this. And you really get to enjoy it when you get to move out of working in the day-to-day of your business. And you can do all of this through building a celebrity expert brand, a brand that people recognize as authoritative in your space. A couple of things that we need to talk about, I think, just to kind of clear the air about what does it mean to be a celebrity expert. And so very quickly here, a celebrity is somebody who's known for what they do, right? Whether it's entertainment or music, they are known. Right. And then an expert might be somebody who is, maybe sequencing the genome in the basement of a university somewhere. They may or may not be known, probably not on a grand scale like a celebrity would be. And so what we've done is we've taken those two things together, and really what we help entrepreneurs become is seen as the go-to expert in their particular field. And that's where that celebrity expert comes from. And the reason why that's so impactful is really based on this philosophy. And that is simply that people buy from people. And they buy from people that they know, like, and trust. And so how do you get your audience to know you better, to like you more, and to ultimately trust you enough to want to do business with you? And that's a personal brand because people do business with people. And so the more that they can know who you are and what you do and why you do it, the more inclined they're going to want to do business with you as opposed to somebody else. It's also why they would want to charge a premium. You look at the extremes of this, like Tony Robbins or Jack Canfield or Lisa Nichols. These people command a large amount of money for their time. If you want to spend one-on-one time with Jack Canfield or even with a small group of people, you're going to spend tens, 20, $30,000 in order to be able to do that. Now, if you were to do the same thing with Tony Robbins, it would probably be even more. And so they've been able to create a business for themselves where they get to charge more because their time has become more valuable the more that they're seen as an expert and an authority, and that reach grows. And so the same thing can be true for you. Now, it doesn't mean you'll be the next Lisa Nichols or Tony Robbins, or even that you want to be. But if you can do that within your space, the fundamentals still apply. So people are going to be fighting to want to spend more time with you. Your time will become more in demand. We've seen this with financial advisors and real estate agents, or really anybody who's providing professional services to somebody. It can really have a great impact on your business. So the next thing that I want to share with you here is what we call the joyful impact model. Now, the joyful impact model is kind of this pyramid, if you will. It's a ladder of ascension. And starting at the very bottom, what we're looking at is what I like to call the aspiring entrepreneur. Now, if you look at these three things, is what we talked about on the iceberg, which is, your brand story, your digital DNA, your inspired audience, and how all these things sort of play together at these different levels of your entrepreneurial journey. Now, the aspiring entrepreneur is usually not the person that we're talking to. This is somebody who's just looking to get their business started. Maybe it's just a thought. Maybe they just did, but they don't really have a brand. They don't have a huge presence online yet, and they've got very little, if any, customers at all. And so a lot of times in this space, they feel like they're kind of on the outside. The struggle is real. They're maybe teetering back and forth about whether or not they're going to make a full-on commitment to actually starting their business and everything like that. And a lot of times the myth in this zone is if you start to share too much, if you give away your ideas, if you share your expertise, that somebody else is going to steal your idea and go start a business instead. And I've seen a lot of that sort of scarcity at this level. The people who've jumped in have sort of made it over that fear of taking the entrepreneurial plunge, if you will, and they're into this next phase of what I call the anxious entrepreneur. Now, whatever the connotations of anxious might be here, really what I'm talking about is that person who's stuck in the grind, right? They're doing 80 to 100 hours a week. They really need to get their business off the ground. They're out there looking for it. They're hustling day in and day out. They're doing most of the work. They probably don't have a team, or a very, very small team at this point, or maybe just a part-time person who's helping do some of the administrative work. But it really is just a solo business right now. And their brand is really just noise. They're like everybody else who's trying to vie for the time of their prospects right now. They've got a website, maybe they have some social presence and a couple of followers, but that's not really what's driving their business right now. It's really the entrepreneur who's doing all the work and all the legwork and all the sales and all the fulfillment and everything else that's involved. And so, that grind is in full swing, looking to kind of get to that next level. They're really seeking that level of success once they took the jump into being an entrepreneur in the first place. Now, this amber zone myth that we run into a lot here is that the market's just too saturated, right? I can't really stand out above my competition. There's really not anything that I have that's going to differentiate me. A lot of imposter syndrome feelings come into play here. I think all the time throughout the whole process that may come into play, but I definitely see it a lot here in the conversations that I have. Now, most of the people that we end up working with as the agency really fall in between these two categories of the anxious entrepreneur and the established entrepreneur, where maybe they're still in the grind or they've got a small team. And this isn't just like levels. There really is a continuum in between here. But that established entrepreneur here is somebody they've got a good business at this point. It runs pretty well. They've got a marketing system in place. They've got a pretty trusted brand. If you search them online, you can find their website or a couple things here and there. They're getting referrals a lot of times. They've got a good economic engine that's working. And a lot of times this is where people feel the most comfortable. And it's also the most dangerous. As you've heard before, if you're not growing, you're dying, right? And so it's really important at this phase to make sure that you're doing what it takes to be able to pour into your business and to continue to grow and to scale. And obviously, if that's what you want to do. But I've seen it before where maintaining status quo is actually the death of the business, death by a thousand cuts, if you will. It doesn't happen overnight, but this little things here, little things there, volume starts to slow down and life is still okay. It's not bad. It's not terrible. But without changing your thinking, without changing your approach, without adding into it, it's very easy for that to turn against you. Um, and so this phase, like I always said, is kind of that entrepreneurial treadmill. This is where a lot of people are running. They're still kind of having that mindset of the grind of I've got to get more leads in order to make more sales. But at this phase, your time is tied directly to that ability for you to be able to scale. And so adding more clients, adding more people onto your calendar means more work for you. And so how do you start to transition out of that? Do you hire a sales team? Do you, where is your most valuable assets? Where is your most time supposed to be spent? And this is where that branding can really come into play for you, and really along the way where this can have the most impact. Now, you've got to answer the question here of, you know, do you want that, right? Do you want to just keep doing what you're doing and see if you're going to have that breakthrough that you're hoping for? Do you want to just keep plugging away and just hoping for the best and just sort of maintaining the status quo with a little bit of growth here and there, just to kind of maintain what you already have because you're comfortable? Or do you really want to take it to the next level? And for some people, they're okay. Right? They're okay being in that level, and that's fine. But if you really want to grow your business, if you really want to take it to that next height of where we talk about living that life of joyful impact, where you've got a well-known brand that is respected. When someone searches for you online, you show up, and you show up as the go-to person in your particular market, in your particular field, and your inspired audience, right? You have impact. You're making a significant difference in the lives of the people that hear about you. They might not even work with you because you're putting out relevant content and doing all these things that help you establish that authority. And this is really where we have what we would say where those mission-driven celebrity experts live, where they're really living that life of joyful impact. And I want to give you a couple examples here. And even just talking about Nick, the CEO and founder of Celebrity Branding Agency, right? And what he's been able to do in building his brand and taking it to where it is today is kind of like what my grandfather talked about back in the day when he told me, he goes, Zach, you've got to dress for the part that you want, not the part that you have, which I always thought was really interesting. And in my young, childish brain, I thought that meant wearing a suit to work or something like that, like literally dressing the part. But I realize now in hindsight and with maturity that what he was talking about was being prepared for that next level, right? Taking on the responsibilities, doing the things to understand the next position so that when the time comes to be promoted or to move to that next level, you're already ready for it. Well, the same thing's true with building your personal brand, right? If people are looking for you and searching for that go-to authority and they land on your website and the last time it was updated was in 1995 and, your content was talking about the tax changes from, 2015 or, your business coaching practices or talking about, pre-pandemic things or, whatever it might be that outdates you. Someone isn't going to see you as an expert in your particular field, especially in that particular moment. And so they're going to move on to somebody else. And so how you show up is just as important as how you're perceived, right? Your perception, people's perception, your prospect's perception is the reality in that moment. And so building a personal brand gives you leverage to be able to get people to know you, to like you, to trust you, and to see that you can be that authority in their field, and then to engage with your content. We live at a time where information is just at our fingertips, right? And the consumer is an informed consumer. Whenever we go to purchase something, we're looking at reviews, we're reading articles, we're reading blogs, we're educating ourselves on that thing that we are going to buy, whether it's a coffee stir or a brand new car. We have so much information that we can have access to that helps us become an informed purchaser, or at least to enough to be dangerous or in the conversation, right? And so you need to provide that same level of content to your audience. I see this a lot with with a lot of the other celebrity experts that are out there, right? I like to think of Joe Dispenza as an example. He's on other people's podcasts. He does a lot of content. He's talking about these things all the time, apart from just his book and the different things that he has out there for people to engage with. And there's buyers out there like my wife, for example, who will digest all of this content, maybe purchase a book or some of these little things, but doesn't go to any of his events or doesn't buy any of his other products or anything like that for her own reasons. But she's also an advocate of his things. So she'll tell friends about it. She'll tell, hey, you should check out Joe Dispenza. Have you ever heard of this thing? Or check out this, brain elasticity. And she does that a lot with healing and supplements and all this different stuff. And she'll share that information with other people. And then other people will go and then buy the products, right? And so a lot of times we as entrepreneurs don't have the understanding of how much impact our content is having on a wider audience, who's then sharing our information with a friend who might be interested, and a qualified prospect who then ends up purchasing or at least getting into your sales funnel or scheduling a call and all these different things. And that is the power and an impact that a brand can have for you and your business. And now I'm going to spend more time in future videos unpacking more and more about what a personal brand is and how to build it. But I wanted you to see it from a high level and how in building your brand, you can do what we talk about in exchanging value for price, right? And so the higher value that you are perceived to have by building your brand and building your authority, the more price you can command for your services. Right. And so even just in that alone, I have a client we were working with and started doing his personal branding and growing his brand, 7-8 years ago or whatever it was. He's charging 2 to 3 times more than what he was back then. Just because of his brand, and people are paying for it, and he's got more people paying for it now, and he's built an economic engine using marketing and advertising and some other things to be able to do that. But a big part of the reason why he can charge so much for his services is because he's been able to build an authoritative brand that people recognize and see him as the authority. And so that value and price intersection is really the experience that he can provide for them. Now, again, you have to show up, right? You have to be able to deliver on what you're promising. Another client of ours in the real estate industry, again, had built a personal brand where he said, I no longer have to promote my business. I have so much repeat business from clients coming back, from referrals, from people just knowing who I am, that I really don't even need to promote anymore. Now, the caveat to all of this is when we think about, well, I don't have to promote anymore, I don't have to, really do anything, and my business is just kind of growing. You think, well, is that really at scale? Or is that just sort of maintaining status quo? And I love to use this example because in his growth, right, in his ability to be able to build that expert brand, it actually led to him representing the buyers of the Elon Musk home, which sold for like $44 million or something like that. And so not only has he been able to build his business and his brand to a point where he doesn't have to promote, he showed up and he served his clients in a really powerful and impactful way, which continues to bring them back and their friends and family members and coworkers and everybody else. But it's actually leading to bigger opportunities that he didn't even know were possible, being invited on radio shows, TV interviews, and all these other, national press and things that came along with, representing the buyers for that home, which was already getting national press. And so there's so many different things that play into being able to do that. But you also have to answer the question of, would your business benefit from you being seen as an expert? If people see you as the authority in your field, will that help to differentiate you from your competition, and ultimately give them the desire to want to work with you instead of somebody else, right? And so again, all of this is to be able to get to a place where, and what we truly believe in, helping people help more people, right? And that's what this is all about. And so the people that we really want to work with are the ones who, will say like, yeah, I really want to make a difference in people's lives. I want to live a good life too. But I want to do that by helping more people. And so this is a great way to be able to do that by showing the world who you are, by sharing your story, which is a brand, right? We talk about a brand as a story, branding is storytelling, and a great brand is a story that others share for you. And all of that plays together in helping you to be able to remove yourself more and more from your business to really focus on doing the things that you love, and doing the things that you do well, by elevating yourself to that next level, and showing people that you're the right person to work with and that you're most qualified to be able to serve them. All right. Well, that's all I got for you today. Hopefully that was helpful. We are going to dive in a little bit deeper into how to build a celebrity expert brand, what that all looks like in future episodes. So stay tuned. If you found this helpful, as always, please feel free to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, family members, whoever you might be able to find some value. And until next time, keep elevating and accelerating. Cheers.